All right, guys, let's talk a little about coffee. I get these questions all the time. Hey, Dr. Baker, I'm doing carnivore. Should I stop my coffee? And I'll talk about this at the end here, what I typically say. But let's talk a little bit about coffee. So there's about 2 billion with a B cups of coffee consumed around the world every single day. You know, maybe you consume a couple of them yourselves. That's a lot. But does coffee, have a place in the carnivore diet? So let's talk about what's in coffee and how those compounds may or may not affect you. Definition-wise, coffee is a beverage brewed of coffee beans, which extract from the coffea plant. These beans can be either roasted or unroasted, light or dark. They can be high caffeine or they can be caffeinated. You can add cream or not, cold brew it or French press it. All these factors influence the flavor and qualities of the coffee. It's even played a role in history when Brazil could not afford to send its athletes to LA for the 1932 Olympics. They decided to ship them over there on a coffee boat instead, and they sold the coffee along the way to finance the trip so that the athletes could compete in the Olympics. So it's kind of a neat thing. Knowing how popular coffee is, it's no wonder that one of the most common questions asked by carnivore is, can you have coffee on the carnivore diet? And that's going to depend. Let's go through some of the pros and cons of this substance. So for one, it can actually enhance exercise performance. Now, whether it's high caffeine or decaf, all coffee has some degree of caffeine in it, and we know that caffeine will increase heart rate, increases physical performance, and decreases perceived exertion during exercise. And that's where the beneficial part can be, so that you can, when you're doing these very challenging events like, picking up a heavy deadlift or going, running over a distance, you may feel like you're just not exerting yourself as much. It may potentially enhance brain function. It stimulates the nervous system, releases dopamine or norepinephrine. It can increase alertness and focus while reducing fatigue. It increases our metabolism. While it doesn't make up for a bad diet or lack of exercise, the caffeine in coffee has been shown to increase metabolism by between 3 and 11% in some cases. Now, it's been associated with a decrease in the incidence of type 2 diabetes. So that is something that, is potentially beneficial. Now, the cons. Now, coffee beans have, lectins in there, and lectins are something that can cause digestive problems leading to increased intestinal permeability, which is, if you're already suffering from gut issues, is probably not your friend. IBS, Crohn's disease, or other things like that, coffee is going to be a problem. They have phytates. Again, phytates are something that can also, again, mess with gut permeability, lead to systemic inflammation. It can bind to a lot of minerals. Coffee beans are often prone to mold, and so these specific mycotoxins, which are products of mold, which can be linked to cancer, brain damage, hypertension. Decaffeinated coffee is much better. Caffeine, remember, is a natural pesticide. As a result, caffeinated coffee is less likely to have parasites and bacteria when compared to decaffeinated coffee. However, decaffeinated coffee has been shown to have high levels of aflatoxins and ochratoxins, both of which are fungi that can cause kidney damage, organ damage, and even death in some instances. Now, coffee certainly can disrupt sleep. Studies have shown that caffeine content has a negative, coffee's caffeine intake has a negative impact on sleep, and lack of sleep can result in insulin dysregulation, unwanted cravings, and then weight gain. And so my thoughts on this, and this is what I tell people. If you're going to a carnivore diet, leave the coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, leave the coffee. And now, full disclosure, I've never drinking coffee. I never liked this stuff. Even when I was, busting my ass working as a surgical resident, working 80, 90, 100, 120, 130 hours a week, I never drank coffee. I'd get up and do push-ups, whatever. I just try to stay awake that way. I got to tell you, it was pretty tough, but I managed. And so I never liked this stuff. But if you are a coffee drinker, what I would tell you is, just leave it in. Don't drink, 6, 8 cups a day. Just, your 1 or 2 in the morning. Stay with that. Get on the carnivore diet. Do it for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then once you're kind of fully adapted, then make the decision. Hey, do I want to ditch this coffee? And what would make you want to make that decision? Well, if you're still having issues, you're still having whatever problem you started the diet for, it's still lingering, then I would say, hey, let's try dumping coffee for a while, maybe a month or 2, and see how you do. Now, having seen many people do that, I will tell you about half of them, they ditch the coffee and they feel great. They're like, wow, that was a problem. The other half, they don't notice a difference. So, again, this is one of those things. It's kind of be up to you to test it out, right? We don't know the answers for sure, but we're trying to figure it out and we're finding it out. Anyway, if this has been helpful, let me know in the comments. Are you a coffee drinker? You're not a coffee drinker? Did you give up coffee and did you get a better result with that? Or if not, did you have no difference? Anyway, I'd love to see what you say in the comments. We'll see you on the next video.